broadcasters don't earn a lot of money. I'm not the yardstick. They don't tell the truth about the craft. And the truth about the craft is it doesn't pay bills. It's a job of passion. Whatever you use the platform for, that's dependent on you. Don't take your emotions to radio or TV. This is one person that I know that I never had any sort of ill feeling towards. As much as everybody, some people love him, but he's a shitty guy. No matter how much grudge I have against anybody, but I'm not going to use my platform to mock people. He's a shitty guy.
Right now, there are certain conversations that are very important to the culture and for what we do across Nigeria. You know, being the #1 destination for lifestyle and entertainment. So we're very particular about the kind of conversations that we have and the people that we have this conversation with. My name is Dotun, and this is Sports on the Record. And my guest today is someone I would rather have a long conversation with. He's been in the space for a long time. He's a radio person. He used to be a radio. Still a radio person, because once a radio person, always a radio person. The voice is there, it never goes. He's a radio person, he's a brand officer, he's a brand person, you know. He's also a hype man, popularly known as Energy God, for those that know him. I mean, if you don't know the name by now, then maybe you're hungry, man. Get something to eat. I have the one and only Do2dtun with me today.
Hey, what's good?
How's it going now?
Good.
I mean, this is a very interesting conversation for me because I've known Dotun for a while, you know, and I'm excited about the conversation. Let's start from now. You left radio. What do you think your true purpose is?
People have, for example, like I said, I like to relate with, I'm not really a big fan of the zodiac sign, but I might go there. It's like the year or the month of the snake.
Right.
And what that means is, and shout out to Vector, who we have, is one of the people I have real conversations with because he's one of the most intelligent personals and friend I've ever met. And so we always have real time conversations on many things, on life, on you know, education, and so many things,
right.
on life, on lifestyle, on music. And so we aligned with what we call the year or the month of the snake, where you peel something off and you know, you unveil something brand new about yourself. It's the same way I found hype, and now I'm becoming the post boy and making hype commercialized, where a lot of young cats can actually make money off it. It's a thing type of alternative entertainment because it came from nowhere as well. Now, that being said, for me personally, I feel for me, my purpose is so many things, and it's almost to actualize, to create, to build, and not just build, to build something that is not, you might have seen it somewhere else, but not as regular as you might think it is. Because when I came to radio, for example, radio has been there. We have a lot of great guys who have been on the radio, like JJ, to the likes of Steve the Sleek Cowdy, so rest in peace, to the likes of Topper Brown, who had great voices, and they had their own flair. But there was a time, at that time, radio was radio without a face. And what that meant is you could be a star on the radio, they know your voice, but they don't know the face. But it was our era where, I mean, I was part of the field. I realized that, you know, you could be way more than that and cooler, make everything seem cool and a lot different. So what I mean is, come into the craft you all know me for. I don't do things a regular way. So my purpose is to build, create, actualize, and stay out of the box. So, and for whatever you guys are going to get to see from now on, from this point, it's definitely going to be about, so for example, if I want to start a rave, you're not going to see the same type of rave. If you're going to see me do a podcast, it's not going to be
the regular,
which I feel like a lot of people have, Dotun holds one of the best interviews. I listen to him on the radio. It'll be time for you to have your own podcast. And then you hear things like, what's next? It cracks me up. I've done radio for 20 years. I think I've been there, I've done that. You worked with me for a couple of years as well. So I've conquered that. And I'm not saying that, I mean, for those of people who have licenses, who want to have a radio station that is top of the art, I'm the plug, because I can make that happen the snap of a finger. But the truth is, my purpose as a person is, I don't want to do what everybody is doing. I feel like I can see something and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to turn this around. The same way I thought about putting hype on the map on a whole new level. When you see me hold a microphone, is a lot different. And now with that, there's flair, there's style, there's a vision, there's a goal. And I think most crafts these days, they do it just for the money. and they forget the passion. And they have crafted built that you can't have a story around it. None of it tells a story. So for me, beyond broadcasting, there's a lot more that I can do outside that box. But the truth is, I like to unveil things, take my time. But I can drop in some snippets. But guaranteed, I don't just pull a plug. When I pull a plug, something's about to be switched on. So that's it for me.
Let's talk about radio a bit. Radio 20 years. I did radio for a bit. I got tired. And the easiest thing to say is I got tired of talking because I felt like there was nothing to talk about anymore. And it felt like the guys who came in my era were not... There's no respect for radio people. I might be wrong, but you can correct me. I feel like this age now, people don't revere radio people anymore. When you were doing it, there was, for the most part, maybe radio was the gatekeeper for music, for the most part. So people had to, come to you do interviews, you play your music. Now, it's not that way anymore. I feel like radio is not, they don't have that, prestige they used to have. Do you share the same sentiment?
So I completely would not agree with that.
Okay.
I just feel like right now, gatekeeping is very relative.
Okay.
And it depends on where you want to sell your craft or your music.
Okay.
Let me come down to the ground point of how radio can be seen. I think the problem with radio for me is, personally, aside the positioning, I think everybody clearly wants to do the same thing. And then, for example, if my call is playing, if it's a talk station around the world, you hear about talk station. A talk station is a talk station. Don't do anything other than that. If you want to play music, that's great, but it is a talk station. But now you see a talk station as a jack of all trades. They try to switch things based on, everybody say move with time, but the truth is you gotta understand your core. So in programming and handlers, they're one of the problems because they're chasing every type of money. That's for the handlers, and because what that means is if you have a core, you focus on it and you build on it, you're going to attract what you attract, because that means that you know your community, you know your audience, and you service them. But now, radio for me personally, and I can speak for my time, I understand that at the time that you got tired, because the truth is, there is a time in people's life they call that, I learned this from Jim Carrey, that said it's called deep rest. When you realize, you're not getting the kind of fire and magic you get from doing that. I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. At some point, I burnt out because I felt what you felt. But the truth is, talking about respect, it only comes with people and how they portray themselves. I feel like broadcasters also are like, and that's also comes with the fact that they don't tell the truth about the craft. And the truth about the craft is it doesn't pay bills, and but aside that, you can burn out not even based off on the money, but you're burning out based on the fact that you have so much to offer, and then it is scrutinized. The only thing I can agree with you on is the fact that they've lost the edge. They've lost the power of wanting to break music, and the reason is because they've monetized everything. And breaking music means that, let me give an typical example. I saw Adekunle Gold I met Adekunle Gold as an example, and at the time I met him, Diamond from the Rough. I knew him as a guy who was just a photoshopper on social media. But he approached me when I walked out of radio station, one of my shows. I knew him without him when he was never a superstar. And then the power to think this can be something good here, and then I can take that thing and give it life. And I can mention tons of names, from Johnny Drill to the big, even the big fours. I mean, they can say whatever they want to say, but the fact remains that I was part of their lives. I mean, I remember when I met, I don't want to mention them because now everybody's fan base is not going crazy, but I met you in your rawest form. And what's beautiful for me is that I'm part of your journey when you kicked off. I mean, I can boldly say I've been in 2 decades now, both old, young, new, good, the bad, the ugly. Now, what that does for me is that there is a power in breaking what you did not or nobody saw coming. That's the power they've lost. Now they go and fetch music for where the music broke out. Not now. It was not the case where you have to wait for it to come out. And we can understand that can also come from the fact that there's modernization, everything is digitalized right now and everything. But it doesn't mean that you can lose that strength and power. And whether we like it or not, the problem is you find out that even radio stations are competing with their personalities as well. So that's even a problem on its own. If you being part of me being part of you, it's a good thing for you. But they see you and like, oh, this guy's projecting his brand beyond what he is. And it's us. His face is out there. Why am I competing with him? Why don't I equip him to be better, grow up, and be good? The problem with handlers is that they compete with their own personalities and they don't want to agree that it is personality based. Because the fact is, at the end of the day, if somebody's there out there pushing things, the entity has grown already. The fact that you're pushing things there, you're also working for the entities. But when you have handlers, exactly, when you have handlers who do not want to pay salaries of their people, they make so much money and then it's not trickling down. I'm not saying that's it for where I come from, but like I said, I mean, this is also like a word out there to make people understand that it's not all better, it's not all roses out there. I just one of the few guys who developed themselves outside for what, the passion of what that does gave me. But the fact remains that in respect, it also comes from the personalities and where they place themselves, how you've been, what's your story with them. There's also the idea of see finish, but that's a personal thing with people that have built themselves on that craft. And to be honest, moving forward for me is I would tell a lot of younger ones that are growing up, look at it beyond the salary. As much as you're on the platform, build something else for yourself. Hype came from me being on radio. I started a show called the Party Club Mix where you have a DJ, and these are things I saw with bashment parties like Jamaican parties. They always have a hype man and everything. I'm a big fan of Split Star, who happens to be behind Busta Rhymes. And I took that same energy and took it to the radio. And we used to have Party Club Mix. I took that same thing and took it to the clubs. And now I took the same thing and I took it to parties. And now guess what? It's everywhere. So the truth is, I breaking music, once you take the power of the raw, the raw core of finding talents and then taking it to the next level, once you lose that or you monetize it the whole time, you're going to lose the flavor that comes with it. And that's when you are now relinquishing your power to other gatekeepers.
Now, the monetization part of it, I mean, it's popular in radio called Payola. Exactly. It's a thing, right? I mean, it's a thing. It's like when you're entering the space, they tend to want to let you know that it's part of the process. Like it's part of what the OAPs must do to sort of just keep pocket alive, aside from whatever the company is paying. Now, I need to know from your own perspective, what is your idea on Payola? And is it helping the culture? Is it taken away from...
I'll be very honest because I know how this can swing. I like to speak from all perspectives from the room because I was always one of the people who was a custodian of the truth of how this all started. There was a time the market was not a Payola-driven market. But the thing is, the faves and the people who had the opportunity to get to the next level with growing their craft through love don't exactly say to the younger ones that this was pure love. Everybody makes you feel like I paid money through it. And that's a lie. There was a culture of, now the truth is, the way you knew some younger artists that became big, there were times that, nobody really cared about them or nobody cared about their craft or the music or anything. But how come we're not talking about that time when it was all pure love? Now they come out, everybody gets bigger, and then the gatekeepers are thinking, I'm not part of the conversation. If I call these guys, they're probably going to charge me. I call them for gigs, they charge me. I call them to show up for things that probably bring content to us. They charge you. At the end of the day, apart from that, so you can tell that it became a parasitic relationship. Where nobody. It seems like one party is gaining and the other party is not. Now you can also see it another way because they're also giving you content because they provide music that you play. So at the end of the day, there was even a time there was a co-song conversation where music and radio stations were supposed to pay artists money. Now, for where I work, they were doing that. Now, how the money gets to the musicians...
So they were doing that?
Yeah. We were remitting money to Koson.
Okay.
I mean, from what I understand,
to Koson,
let me put the word allegedly. At the time, I know there was an arrangement where money was from the radio stations were paid to Koson.
The Koson to the artist.
And now I think they're in court right now. And I don't know how that's playing out. But they had their own oh man, because they were the collectors
Yeah.
at the time. So, and these are the things we didn't understand. Maybe some people got that money, or some people didn't get that money. But I know there was an arrangement at the time that you were supposed to pay COSON money to pay the artist. Now, back to the real stuff. Payola is not a Nigerian thing. It's not something that happens in Nigeria. Let me just be honest with you. And I know you're very aware of this. Payola is not even a word coined in Nigeria. You know, we don't really do a lot of research, and I'm not going to mention any country, but it was a thing. It's so hard to get your music played on the radio in, I don't want to mention the country, but you know, the truth is, these are the people that are with everything about our lifestyle, to fashion, to how we've already modeled our life towards them. I'm not saying something we should pick, but I'm saying that they understand the idea that for you to be able to break your song, you either have a record deal or you go through gatekeepers. Sometimes you see all these media rounds, you see about the popular stars. I'm not saying they pay for it, but it's part of the budget. They're not going to tell you that. Now, the thing is, they go around and they, you know, these things is monetized, but it's not vocal. The difference with them and us is PR. You know, they don't just tell you these things. We are all vocal about it, and it looks like it's sacred and looks very crazy. The truth is, I'll be honest, in a game like that, you realize that in some system, there's a structure, but the problem is monetized. But you realize that you probably have to do some other things to be able to break your songs on this type of platforms. That's what we're going to now. But because we are in a peculiar country that is not a case where an average man can even make that much more when they push their own material. That's why it seems like it's crazy here. So when people ask you or say, oh, there's money, then you flip. But the truth is, in other parts of the world, for you to be able to break these things, they go through a process. You know, and then they don't tell you about these things. But now, guess what? Some people do have to, some people, I mean, in other part of the country, they probably have to even do drugs for them to be able to do their music. You know, it's a trend. But like, you understand what I'm trying to say? When they talk about rappers who now have to go and do some things, then before they break their music and break it on the streets and whatever it is, it's a different thing here in Nigeria. The bone of contention of it is, there is a ripple effect of some things that are going around that everybody is feeding off the energy. It's bad. And it also includes the fact that some people are not appeased, even with a little of a respect or being part of your career and growth. And then besides that, some people are thinking, you know, at the end of the day, everybody grows, but I'm here. And I'm still the least on the food chain. I'm never considered. The truth is, I'm not speaking for myself. I can boldly say, I mean, I'm not going to latch it on to whatever it is. The craft gave me the vibe that I wanted, the energy that I wanted, but I built something for myself, and that was intentional because I wanted to leave away from all of these things. It's not the same for everybody else. Nobody's going to have the same vibe that I have or the same, not everybody's going to be intentional. So don't make it seem like because I was part of the system made me feel like, oh, but no. I grew a lot of things outside all of that because if I base my income on all of that, then I will not be able to speak now. But the truth is not a viable way because it has destroyed the culture to a certain level. And apart from that, it has also made, you know, the platforms not see what is raw talent, what is true, what exactly, what is not supposed to be. And then the truth is, at the end of the day, it's seeming like that. But I also realized that let it be known, like the people, speak about the people that really did it out of love. That's why to this day, you're never going to tell me anything wrong about Jimmy Jab. You can't tell me anything. You can't tell me anything about people like J.A.J. Because you can't tell me people like Dan Foster, so rest in peace. Gospel music was always streamlined to be music you hear on the weekend, only on Sundays. But how come nobody sat down to think that Dan Foster was one of the few guys who broke gospel music on it? Now they say, oh, they don't play music on it, but that's a lie. Dan Foster, when I knew likes of Lagimo by Rooftop MCs, T.Y. Bello, Lannis Green, you know, all types of Tim Godfrey, all these guys, they got broke, or they broke their songs on daytime radio.
Yes.
So I
remember.
feel people pick their history from when they were born.
Yeah.
Nobody goes back to sit down and talk
Fair
about it.
enough.
And that's the truth, Dami. It's not clearly it has destroyed the culture because
Yeah.
now it's affecting the ones who came and they know the history. But I will always say this. A lot of these guys, like for example, you see the older guys that come out now and they go off. But the truth is, because the culture has changed. But do you tell the story of how it was so much love
Yeah.
when you were gaining all the airplays,
Yeah.
when you were gaining all the time they put you on? How many of those guys you ever call out to say, "Oh, he did this for me,
Yeah.
good job," or anything? Sometimes it's never about the money. It's just a compliment, the respect. People make references. The DJs from Master Flex. You hear people like DJ Clue, right?
yeah.
They respect their greats, and that's why they're still there. Even the ones that are crazy, like academics, they still got a lot of respect. Joe Budden still got respect.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the point is, there is a place for love, and there's a place for us to go back there. And that's why, for me, someone like me, I did it for 20 years, and I did my best to put. There's nobody. The only guy I have never interviewed, I met him once or twice, but I never had the chance to interview him, was Flavor. But everybody else, mention anybody's name. I put everybody on, both young, old, new, or the ones that at the end of the day, before that time, they didn't have that purge. You would not even have seen it.
Right.
But I like to be one of the first to break it because I wanted to always pick good music, find it, and let it happen. But when I lost the edge to do that, I just got bored of it.
Let's talk about the entertainment industry. I mean, you've been in the space for a while, and you're privy to some information that a lot of people don't know about. Now, what is that one thing that you wish that people know about the Nigerian entertainment industry?
So
I mean, just from an insider's perspective.
Insider's perspective,
That one thing, yeah.
the one thing I want people to know about that broadcasters don't earn a lot of money.
Okay.
It has to be said. Dotun is an intentional man.
Yeah.
I'm not the yardstick. Let me put it that way. I'm not the yardstick to judge anybody else and think they should.
Yes,
You know, Tools is not. Maybe they're all hard workers. They're all other things. They invest in other things that grew them to where they are. But just so we know, that's it. Straight up, broadcasters don't earn a lot of money. It has to be known. It has to be out there.
Right.
It's a job of passion. Whatever you use the platform for, that's dependent on you. But broadcasters don't earn a lot of money.
Now, let's go to this. Aside the radio space, now let's talk about the entertainment space in general. What is what is the misconception you feel like people have about the industry, aside from the part that people don't pay? Talking about the entertainment space, it's brother, it's bigger than the radio, bigger than radio. What is that misconception that you think people have about the industry that, you know, as someone who's been there, you guys, this is not what it is. You know, it's not like this.
Misconception, to be honest, like it can be in different parts.
Right.
First of all, is the misconception of you thinking once a musician have a hit song, then they are automatically rich.
Right.
That is a misconception. We need to understand that. There's a lot of things that go into that. For example, imagine someone who gets a record deal. So when you see them in selling clothes, hang out with selling people, it's what they are programmed to do. They only sell you perception.
Right.
So you might have a hit record, does not make you rich. That's one.
Right.
Another misconception
Yeah.
that I think has been on my mind for a long time is where you think that a musician, I'm talking about music.
Right.
I'm not. If I want to go into broadcasting, that's another conversation entirely. But I just dropped one not too long ago. There's a misconception of, once you get a record deal, it means you're above everybody else. That's fine. Record deals are good, depending on what the record label and their plans are and what they have for you. So the truth is, there's always that idea that, once you get a record deal, it is it. It's a step above everybody else. But I feel like the work just started. And now what that means is that you cannot make the name that you want for yourself with just one hit record. So there's a misconception, out blue now, out blue. Sometimes I feel like in Nigeria, there's a low attention span.
Yeah, right.
There is no attention to what is more, what is evergreen these days. Everyone just wants quick hits, quick money on, quick listenership on something,
Right.
Can piss me against the other guy,
Right.
something that's harder than every. But the truth is, getting a record deal, it just means your expectations are a lot higher. So the truth is, if you're not on a pace, 3 singles, well, nowadays 2 singles, we can look at it for you and think about it, and just permit you. But if you understand there's a template, then when people like Kiss Daniel, 3 singles, hit. Davido, 3 singles, Wizkid, 3 singles, hit. They had to prove themselves.
Right.
And it's almost seeming like, oh, now he can do it or she can do it before everybody really believes in, what you've got or what you think or your direction is, what your goals are. It's even worse now because we have a low attention span.
Right.
It would take a lot for people to be able to link with you. Rema 2 is one of the few cats who have done it. So back-to-back hits.
Right.
And then you understand that when you do it one time, you do it 2 times. I feel like these days, if either you have a great EP, 1 or 2 songs popping on it, you have to be able to prove. So you can also get a record deal and still not make it. Because there's a perception, you can be, once you're on a record deal, it's fine, you're good. That's it. It is what it is and all that thing.
Now let's touch on this. What's the most brutal feedback that you've ever gotten in your career, and how did it change you? If you can talk about radio, talk about music, but what's the most brutal
feedback?
You don't have to mention the person's name, but if you want to, why not? What's the most brutal that you've got?
So there's one, but I'm saving one for. There's a lot of things I feel like with my commentaries these days.
Yeah.
People always tell me about, Dotun, I think you should write a book. But I'm already on that even before all those conversations, because my book, Do Not Believe the Hype. I'm working on that.
Do not believe the hype.
Do not believe the hype.
Wow.
So it's just when I go get my lawyers. Do not believe the hype. I know that also can mean that do not believe the hype is very relative as well, because it doesn't mean you don't believe what you see or what you hear. And I'm not telling you not to believe what you hear, what you see. I might just be speaking from my own perspective. You understand what I'm saying? It might be from my perspective of everybody else. But the truth is, I think it's in works. And but one of the most brutal feedback, and I didn't see that later on as a bad thing. It was poorly done. The truth is, at the time, it made no sense.
Right.
Because it felt it was cliche, and it was very basic to call your name D-O-to-the-T-U-N. So the guy said, what the fuck is it? Said, what the hell? Why would you, why the hell the name D-O-to-the-T-U-N?
Right.
He's like, that's actually a shitty name for a radio name.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was one of the most reasons why I continue using it.
Wow.
I think the only person that can really attest to this story, I feel, but I'm not sure he's not going to give out the name, is Daddy Freeze, because he knows about it, right? And he was like, what kind of a fucking name is...
the person is in the radio space, right?
I'm not going to mention it. What kind of a fucking name is a radio name, D-O-to-the-T-U-N? What type of radio name is that? And he boldly said that in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it actually made me cry. That's the honest truth. But to be honest, like I said, looking at it now,
it slaps, bro. Like
it slaps.
It slaps
now, not
well.
even about the fact that the name slaps.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that's one of the reasons I stuck to the name. And then I said, building a name is not what it sounds like.
Right.
It's what you do with that name.
Right.
And then he forgot. And one of the days he called me D-O-to-the-T-U-N.
Right.
He forgot. And then I laughed, I stepped there, I laughed. I'm like, this is the same person and say, what kind of fucking name?
Uh,
And then, the weird thing is, he even introduced me with that name one time. But like I said, it is what it is. He's somebody I love very much, and he's somebody that I think has shaped because in the course of everything, he didn't just say that, he also built me to be a better person as well. He might have said that based on what was attainable at the time, because when you come on the radio and say I'm Do2dtun, sounds like everybody can use that, but it slaps.
Why not just say Dotun?
But I mean, it is what it is now.
It is what it is,
And then when the name grew, then he forgot what he said.
Right.
And that's it for me.
Right. And let's touch on this one more before we round off. What is that one thing you never said on radio while you were on air, and you feel like, now that I'm out, let me just say?
The one thing I should have said that I've never said before. Oh my goodness. Can I still really say it?
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be that, listen, I think this is coming from a place of love. I feel like that would be, do I want to save this for my book? I feel like this is one person that I know that I never had any sort of ill feeling towards. And, but, with everything that played out with him and my life, I expected it to a certain level, but I didn't expect it to, I saw you do it to other people, but I wasn't expecting to do it with someone that I feel, but as much as some people love him, and I still love him for what he does, but he's a shitty guy. And I've never said that on the radio. I've said it on other platforms, but I've never said it on the radio.
Who's this person?
I'm not going to mention his name, but I feel he's a shitty guy. I feel like there's so many lies around him, about him as a person. And he knows I know.
Yeah.
And but I'm not going to use a platform which I feel was a professional platform to do that.
Right.
I don't use my platform to maim people. I can do that on my personal platforms, but on a platform that, clearly serves the people, which I always say that don't take your emotions to radio or TV.
Right.
There are ethics, there are standards. No matter how much grudge I have against anybody, I might have an opinion about their work or what they've done, but I'm not going to use my platform to mock people. It's not in my place to do that because that's a professional platform. It's not about me. I owe it to the people. To be honest, I could be on a show like this and say it. I can say it on my platform or whatever it is. But I wanted to really describe this person away from the light camera action.
What we know him
Though
to
you
be.
know him to be.
Yeah.
He's a shitty guy. So I think I would have probably said that on the radio, but I couldn't say that. But it is what it is. And like I said, I'm a tough guy. But I'm tough for life and what that brings to me and what I've built for myself for the future. And that's where he stays. Because like I said, if I really want to come out like a lion, I really want to really come out, you'd be so messy. So in the midst of everything, I feel like that's one thing I never use my microphone for, because I felt like I owe it to the people, I owe it to myself. There's more to that. And when it comes on that platform like that, I have to respect people's craft.
If I don't have this question, I don't think this interview will be complete.
Okay.
Now, you've witnessed the rise and fall of a lot of people, both radio broadcasters, musicians. Now, what is that one lesson or one thing you'd give to them just to help them with longevity? So they stay as far as you. You've been around for a long time. You're still around. So what is that thing that you said has helped you and that they could maybe borrow from to sort of help them just stay long in this space?
To be honest, first of all, is as much as you want to grow your craft and expect nothing. Expectations, expect the best from what you do with what you have. But expectations from people, they're going to break your heart a lot. Now, this is what I've learned. Don't expect the people that love you to pay you back the way you paid, the people you love to pay you back the way you paid you. What the luck I've always had is because your craft is good, your work is good, strangers will pay you.
Right.
And that's it with me. So for anybody working around, continue. If people like Jimmy Jad is focused on what he does and says, I still love this thing, If you don't love anything anymore, try something else. Know when to say your goodbyes,
Right.
know when to transition, and know when it's time to try something new. Don't forget, you also have to move with time. I feel a lot of them that come out now and they're angry about many things. Aside the fact that it's health, if there's health, I can understand that. Health takes away so many things away from you. Takes away your money, your life, your direction. And at the end of health, it could also mean mental health. It could be anything. It could take you away from what you're supposed to do. But if you're in the right frame of mind, or you believe you're in the right frame of mind, and you're good at something,
Right.
it's the same way I talk about alternative music. Especially I talk about music in Nigeria. Everybody wants to see music at Afrobeat. I was speaking to Aramide, who's one of the musicians that I really love and what she does. And I said, whatever sound of music you do now, it might not be obtainable now, but you're going to go around in a circle and come back to that same music.
Yeah.
For example, there was a time dancehall had its time. Shout out to you guys. There was a time reggae had. Reggae is evergreen. They're all evergreen genres, but it had that time. And we all went round. And we always find a way to come back to it. Look at R&B now. Everybody's going crazy with Chris Brown's, 1111, because maybe R&B, then sometimes maybe it's hip hop and everything. There's a time for everything. Move with time. Apart from you moving with time, do not lose your core. Whatever you love, like for example, like I tell everyone, I'm always gonna be a hype man until I want to be, because the fact remains that is people like Split Star can do it with butts around. Why can I do it? And I'm happy doing it, and it makes me my money. And I thank God for what he has done for me as a prayer. But radio was the one that shaped my mind, and and I said, okay, you know what, this is good, it's great. I've done it for 20 years. If you shoot me a shot and say, oh, I want to run a radio station of my own, I want to have a radio station, just snap off a finger, I'll get you the best sound, get you the best ideas in the room, make sure that it pops. Just make sure, let's do it. I can do it. I can be one of the state-of-the-art radio stations in Nigeria, but I need someone who's serious and understand where the investment will go after we do that. That's it. But anything away from that is, don't lose your core. Know thyself and transition right, and know when to say
goodbye.
You're done or you're not.
Yeah.
And then if you know you're not done, you got to keep going and making sure that you're great at that thing. It's not what everybody would want at the time, but as long as you're great in something, is your core, focus on that, and you'll be fine.
Great. I mean, know when to say goodbye. That's the most important thing. Thank you very much for coming, Dotun.
Thank you, Danny.
It was a very good conversation. It was quite informative, and I hope that you all just took one or two from that. Yes, this is Pulse on the Record. Thanks for listening. My name is Tammy Dawson. Have a good day. Bye.